In this video, I'm going to talk about the FiiO FH3 in-ear monitor and why I think it is one of the best IEMs of the year and class leading in its price point. What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews, and here we are with the FiiO FH3. Here is the box. Classic FiiO box. You've got the magnetic flap cover, and inside are all the goodies which aren't there at the moment because obviously I've already taken them out. So let's move the box aside and have a look at these earpieces real quick. Let's get a closer look. Right, so these babies come in at $129, and I want you to keep that in mind throughout this review because it is quite relevant in the overall context of things. Here are the shells. You probably can't see. These are a aluminium magnesium alloy. They are rock solid, built like a tank. Very, very nicely built. And you can't tell from looking at them, but these are extremely comfortable as well. They have a nice sort of weight, a little bit of heft to them without actually being heavy. You got this ripple design on the face plates, MMCX connectors, pretty standard nozzle there with a good ridge to hold your ear tip securely in place, along with a protective metal mesh. And the nozzles are a little bit long, which I find really good. It means I can get a really stable and secure fit with these in my ears. So for the price, for $129, you're basically getting the same build quality as you get with the flagship FiiO FH7. Let's have a quick look at the FH7. Obviously without the gold trim there, but you can see it is pretty much the same. Everything's the same, and so they are not holding back on the build quality whatsoever. This is a typical hybrid driver setup. It's got one dynamic driver and two Knowles balanced armature drivers. You can see here the MMCX connectors are color coded to make things nice and easy. There's one small vent there just next to the connector, and there's another one near the base of the nozzle there. So overall, fantastic build quality, very, very comfortable. Feel premium in your hand, feel extremely sturdy and robust. Now let's get a look at the cable, and it is a lovely looking cable. It's very nice. It's got the awesome, gorgeous FiiO right-angled plug. I love these things. They are a little bit heavy, but they are just beautiful and sturdy as a mofo. At the top here are the transparent MMCX connector housings, plastic with the heat shrink preformed ear guides. Now, this is a very nice cable. It handles quite well, but it is kind of stiff. It's a bit on the stiff side, and one of the downsides of it is it does have a fair amount of microphonics. So you do get a fair amount of cable noise. If you bump the cable, you'll hear it all the way up through the cable into your earphones and into your ears. So that's one drawback, but there's no denying it is a high quality cable, although the handling could be somewhat better. Inside the box, you also get this classic FiiO storage case. We've seen this with some of the other models, including the, what was it? The FH1 had the same case. I think the FD1 did as well, I'm not sure. As well as this, you get 9 pairs of silicone ear tips, very generous, and 2 pairs of foam ear tips. So if you can't find a fit with it among those, then you're kind of like me and a bit of a freak. But what I'm saying is the accessory bundle is very, very good. Considering the price, I would say we're off to a very good start. But of course, the most important aspect of in-ear monitors for us enthusiasts is the sound, which is what we're going to get into right now. So the sound signature of the FiiO FH3, it is, I would say it's a fairly balanced signature. You might call it W-shaped because everything is sort of pushed forward a little bit. It's a very forward sounding IEM. It's very easy to drive. You can sufficiently drive it from a smartphone or a low power DAP, for example, but as you improve the quality of your source, your amplifier or DAC or whatever, these do scale quite well. So keep that in mind. But yeah, you can basically power these off anything. W-shaped signature with a forward presentation. They've got a lovely, lovely full-bodied bass. Beautiful, rich mid-range. The overall tonality is slightly on the warmer side of neutral, but at the same time you'll find the overall resolution is excellent. I mean, the mid-range clarity, the instrument separation is just superb, and it's got this wonderful light airy treble that is kind of subdued. It's not a forward treble, but it still has a touch of sparkle, and it is very light and airy, and it does provide ample amount of detail. So let's break it down as per usual, starting off with the bass, and what a bass it is. It is full-bodied, it is authoritative, it has a beautiful natural weight to it. You can't beat that dynamic bass, man. It is reasonably fast. The leading edge of bass notes has fairly good definition. It might be a little bit soft. Overall, the texture of the bass is very good, and what I really like about the low end of the FH3 is that even at very low volumes, the bass still has that big sort of epicness to it. When I say that, I don't mean the bass is overly boosted. It does have a slight emphasis on the sub bass more than the mid bass, but it is not a big bass in terms of quantity. It is a big bass in terms of quality. You get that big full sound even at very low volumes. It is a very well balanced signature, and the bass does not overshadow the mids or the treble. On to the mid-range now, and the mid-range is slightly warm, but there's still very good clarity there. The mid-range resolution is fantastic. Like when I say resolution, I mean it's a combination of detail, instrument separation, overall tonality. It's a little bit hard to explain, but all of those things the FH3 mids do really well. Like, they do have warmth, but at the same time the notes are very well defined. They have very clean lines. There's no blurring or smearing within the mid-range. The transition from the bass to the mid-range is really well done. Male vocals are nice and rich. They have sort of gusto, they have body to them, but they're not thick at all. The articulation, they're very well articulated, and female vocals are nice and bright and vibrant without being shrill or shouty. And the mid-range, just like the bass, is fantastic. No complaints at all whatsoever. And finally, moving on to the treble, and oh man, I gotta say, these have such a nice treble, just the kind that I really like them so much. The treble is, I wouldn't say laid back, it's kind of on the softer side. It's not a very forward treble, but it does have good energy. It actually has a touch of sparkle, and it's a light airy sound. You know, it kind of reminds me of a Dunu DK 2001 or 3001 Pro kind of treble. And in fact, the sound signature in general reminds me a bit of the Dunu sound. And right now, the FH3 is probably my favorite IEM, all the way up to the Dunu DK 2001, which is a $300 earphone. Now, I don't like to say that kind of thing too often. I don't like to overhype things, but I really think these do punch above their price point. I think these are the best IEMs you can get, definitely up to the $200 point, assuming you do like a little bit of warmth in your presentation, in your audio. And I think these are, without a doubt, the best earphone right now, between $100 and $200, all the way up to $200 easily. In terms of soundstage, the soundstage dimensions aren't all that large, but they're not small either. They're definitely not confined or cramped. The treble is kind of relaxed, but it is nice and airy. There is a hint of sparkle there, but the stage is just so well organized. Like the air between different instruments and sounds is very clean. There's a little bit of warmth there for that natural feeling, but it is a very clean and organized stage, and the layering positional cues of different instruments is very good. Stereo imaging left and right is very good, but there's also great depth in the stage. You get your vocals in the center, and you can also determine sounds sort of behind the vocals and to the sides of the vocals as well. So it's not the biggest stage, but it is a very, very good quality sound stage. And overall, you know, these are the top dog right now. I'm saying that. I'm going to go ahead and say it. At their price point, these can't be beat. So before we finish up, I'll do a couple of quick comparisons here, starting with the FiiO Meteor OH1. This is a great earphone. Beautiful, beautiful design and build quality. Very, very comfortable. But in terms of sound, I've got to say it can't match the FH3. The bass in comparison sounds very boomy. It lacks the texture. It doesn't have the leading edge. It just sounds messy compared to the FH3 here. But I'm not saying it's a bad bass. These are still a great earphone, and you know, most people should be happy with these if they've got them. But if you are looking for an upgrade without going up to the next price tier, these are the ones that you want to go for. Now, of course, everybody wants to know how the FH3 will compare to the Moondrop Starfield, and they do have some similarities. They do have some things in common. Bass extension, for example. I think the FiiO does have a bit better bass extension, but the sort of quantity and the tonal balance is kind of similar throughout. Although the mid-range on the Starfield here does sound a little bit more recessed comparatively. The FiiO mids are more forward, and surprisingly these are also a fair bit easier to drive. If you hook both of these earphones up to the same source, you'll have to turn up the volume a fair bit to reach the same level with the Starfield. Both of them have a nice light airy treble. I think the Starfield has a bit more presence in the very upper treble, which gives it a more of an airiness, but it's not as well defined. It's a bit more diffuse sounding, whereas the FiiO has that softness, but at the same time it's a little bit more precise. Once again, this is a fantastic earphone, the Moondrop Starfield. If you are stuck on a budget and you can't go over sort of $100 or $110, these will do you just fine. But if you can spend the extra few bucks, definitely go for the FiiO. And finally, one of the little underdogs in the IEM world is the gorgeous SimGot EN700 Pro. This is a beautiful earphone. It also has immaculate build quality, and obviously, as you can see, it is just gorgeous. But once again, when it comes to sound, it cannot match the FH3, although I think it does come closer than the OH1. It has more bass definition than the OH1 and closer to the FH3. The mid-range again is a little bit more recessed, and the treble has a little extra bite to it I find the treble on the FiiO here to be just as detailed, just as airy, but at the same time it doesn't have any peaks. There's really no sharp edges on the treble whatsoever. It is just so well done. I can't emphasize it enough, which is why I'm confident in saying that these are the best in their price point at the moment. Obviously, depending on your own personal preference, there might be IEMs in that range that are more suited to you or better for you. But if you want something that's slightly on the warm side with a good healthy dose of bass, man, these are just so good. I can't believe it. I was not expecting it. You know what, compared to the FH7 here, which is a much more expensive earphone, yes, you would have to say the FH7 is superior in technicalities, detail retrieval, specifically micro details, instrument separation, resolution, all those things, speed of the bass is better. But overall, you know, if I had to choose, I would actually take the FH3 just because I love its tonality so much. It is a very musical, very enjoyable IEM, and everything I play through these just sounds so good. I enjoy it so much. Anyway, that is about it for this video, guys. The FiiO FH3. What do you think? Have you tried them? Let me know. Leave a comment down below. And if you like this video, give it a like, Parfam audiophile style. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see more reviews like this in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And until next time, see you later.